Hello everyone, Chris here, Men's Kitchen. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a paella. I've already done a video previously for preparing the seafood, so go ahead and have a look at that. And today I'm really just going to put it all together. So if you want to know how to prepare the seafood, just go back to the preparing seafood video and follow those things there. I will mention a bit more about pippies and mussels whilst I'm going along. I haven't got any mussels today. I've got pippies, but you'll see what I'm doing. So I'm going to put the camera down so that you can watch what I am doing. And you can see here that I've got everything ready. I'm going to throw in some chorizo with the seafood just because I can. You don't have to, and you can make this dish whatever you like. So if you prefer to use chicken thigh fillets instead of the fish, then go right ahead and do that, because it's very nice with chorizo and chicken. But I wanted to show you the seafood because it's a little more complex to do. And so I've got the prawns, I've got a splucima crab, and I have a loligo hawksbury calamari. Now, this cost me $22, so it's actually quite reasonable when you're buying small amounts. But if you wanted it to be all prawns or all pippies or mussels, you can choose whatever you like to put in here. I'm just doing a variety because I wanted to show you how to prepare different seafood. This is the only reason I've done all of this. So this is prepared, but I thought I'd just quickly show you, if you haven't seen the video, preparing the prawns. If you want to have them whole, you can just go in here and dig out that digestive tract there, and then you would straighten the prawn in your hand like so, and then hopefully, oops, it'll come out in one hit, and that's the digestive tract, commonly known as the poo pipe. So you really want to take that out. It's not very nice to leave it in. I'll just put that there for a minute. If you were going to take the head off, then this is how you would take the head off. So you can, these are juicy because of the crab here. So take the prawn upside down. I've talked about using food gloves on the other videos, so please do have a look at that. You can see the digestive tract there. Hold the prawns straight in your hand and give it a little tug, and it all comes out. That way you've got the head off, poo pipe out, and then you can peel the prawn ready to go in your paella. If you want to leave the tail on for the dish to be more attractive, or you prefer to take it off, that's fine. Just crush it a little bit in your fingers and pull off. And that's all of our seafood ready. I'll just throw that out. I'll wash my hands. Now, if you're using mussels, you want them to be live, but New Zealand mussels are never live. They have to be partially cooked before coming into the country. So always make sure that you don't overcook those, and they've generally been de-bearded. With mussels here, the blue mussels that we call them here, just tap them and they should close, and then pull the beard down. So say this was a mussel and the beard was here, you pull down towards that pointy end and pull it out. And it is easier with food gloves on. So you would do all of that. A lot of mussels come already pre-cleaned now, so it's much better than it used to be. And if they've got barnacles on, then take your little paring knife. Where did I put my paring knife? Here. Take a paring knife and use the back of a knife to actually scrape the shell. Don't use your blade because you'll break it. Scrape it off, scrape all the barnacles off, and then give them a good wash. Other than that, we're pretty right to go. So let's do it. I'm going to bring my cooker over so that you can see everything that I'm doing. I'll put all these down the side here. All right, I've got some saffron here, which we're about to use. Now, let's just, hopefully you can see that. Okay, now, heat your stock. I've said heat it in a fry pan, but obviously I'm showing you some things here. So saffron is really important in this dish. You'll make about 6 or 8 paellas from this, and you just need a pinch, okay, about yay big. Pop that in, and it's better if your stock is warm, and then just keep that in a nice safe place. That was about just under $7 for that, so it's not too bad. All right, and then we will just give that a stir, and you'll see that that will already start to colour. And we'll just set that to the side there. And when it heats up in the pan, it will go a more vibrant yellow. All right, so what we're going to do first is brown our onions. Oh, actually, I'll brown a couple of the whole prawns just to show you what to do. So put your pan on. I've got a traditional paella pan here. If you don't have an enamel one, you have this one, and it's a nice heavy base. You do need to oil it a little bit and wipe it down with a piece of paper, kitchen paper towel, before you store it away, otherwise it will rust. Okay, put this on, and I'll just not have it too high. And I'm going to fry just one of those prawns just to show you what to do. Little bit of oil, and I'll have a little tea plate just to pop it on. So if you have a whole batch of prawns that you want to put into this dish, then it's nice to colour them first, because when you put them in the paella, they don't actually colour, okay? So pop that there. I've done some where you've seen on the video that I've peeled halfway just to make it easier for people to eat. So I'll turn that down. Oops, hope you can see. It's smelling nice already. The thing is with paella, it actually forms a crust on the bottom of the pan. So don't worry if this is going a bit brown. This pan is fairly new. I only had a great big one, so I bought a small one. But you can see that that browns up beautifully very quickly. And that's what we're looking for, just that bit of colour, so that we can have it looking beautiful when we go to put it into the paella. And I'll put that on a plate so that you can see it. And my pan will gradually, the more you use it, the darker it will become. So they're just partially cooked, which is what I want. And you can see there, just that bit of colour on them will be very nice. So I'll add a little more olive oil to my pan. I'm actually going to turn it down a bit, it's hot. And we'll add in our onion. And I've added the garlic as well. So just move that around. My pan is new, so I may need to add a bit more oil than I've said in the recipe, okay? So don't worry about what I'm doing. Yum. We want to soften that down a little bit. Keep it moving so that it doesn't burn in one spot. Now, obviously, if this was on a gas cooker or a bigger ring, it would not get just one area very hot. So because this is an induction cooktop, a portable one, the surface area of the cooking is not that great. So I'm trying to keep it where the element is. So we just let that cook. And what we'll do after that is pop the onion back into the bowl. I'll move the seafood over there. Move that around. So it's important to soften the onion. Onion is a tricky thing sometimes. If you don't soften it enough at this stage, then it needs to cook for a very, very long time to soften it right down if you add liquid. So it's better to spend 5 minutes getting it right at this stage before you add that liquid. Hope you can see. Okay, now what I'll do is I'm just going to take that onion out for the moment and brown our chorizo. Pop that out. All right, I've sliced it up all ready to go. So, and this will release a reasonable amount of oil, which will be lovely. The flavour will be fantastic in our paella. So take that up to the element. I've got this sort of on a medium heat because this pan is obviously getting quite hot. So let that cook for a couple of minutes. Very few of the chorizos are pre-cooked. They're air dried, but they're not pre-cooked. So you do need to cook them. And you can buy, like, you know, there's different brands that you can buy, and some are more expensive than others. So have a look around price-wise. Oh, it smells so delicious. Okay, so just turn them over. Actually, not a lot of oil is coming out of these, so that's interesting. So I might just throw because there's not a lot of oil, I'm going to throw the onions back in. So let's put that in. And another minute or two and we're ready to add our tomatoes. And then we'll add our paprika as well. So you want about half a teaspoon of smoked paprika. So it's important to have smoked paprika for this dish. But if you are not keen for that, then use ordinary paprika, the sweet paprika. Okay, I'm going to add the tomatoes. Now I made, oh no, I think that's all right. A 400 gram can is what we're adding here. Mix that around. Get that nice and hot. Okay, and then we can add our paprika. And this part of the dish is really important. So if you get all this flavour right at this stage, it will make for a good paella. So just cook that around. Now obviously you can use a fry pan if you like. If you have a sort of 28-30 centimetre fry pan, that will work just as well. And if you don't have a lid, you can just cover it with foil when we get to that stage. So you can see that that's starting to look a really nice colour. We'll let it cook for a few minutes. We sort of want it to cook for, 5 minutes maybe. I'll get some salt. At this stage, we can put some salt in. And we'll stir that in. And that's starting to look good. We'll give it another minute. And then we'll add our rice. Now with the rice, we're going to add that before the stock. The peas are for later. And we have the paella peppers here. They're just gorgeous little bell peppers. So you can add as many or as little as you like. You can buy them in jars in the supermarket. So very handy to have. And you can just snip those. This is looking really nice now. So I'm going to add our rice to this lovely tomato base. So now I have the arborio rice, but you can see it's a medium grain rice. So it absorbs 4 times its volume in liquid. So we'll add that. And now make sure that every rice grain gets covered in that lovely smoky tomato sauce. And by heating it like that, we sort of crack open the grains to enable it to start cooking and to enable it to start absorbing the stock when we add it. So you can see we've almost covered it all. Quite a good stir. And that's looking pretty good. So just flatten it out a little bit. Now once we add the stock, paella, you do not stir. So you can pat it, but it's best not to stir it. You want a little crust to form on the base, and you want the rice to cook evenly. So you can stir as much as you like at this stage, but once you add that stock, you can stir when you initially add the stock, and then after that you're just patting it. And what I'll do is just move this just slightly to the right, because I'll just need a little bit of the board to put the paella peppers down so that I can cut them. I forgot to cut them. Okay. So you can see that sort of sounding nice and sizzly, if that's the word. And you can see here that my stock is turning a beautiful golden colour. We want to pour 70% of this stock into the dish and bring it to the boil. And then what we'll do is gradually add more stock as it absorbs. You don't want to waste that saffron, so put all the saffron in as well. So basically we're pouring enough in to cover the rice. So I've got about 300 grams left. So give that a good stir now. Make the most of that being able to stir. Like so. And now we've covered all of that rice. And then from here on, it's just a pat, all right? Whilst that's heating up there, hopefully you can just see on here, we're just going to cut these little peppers through, just so that they're in strips. They're really lovely, these. But if you can only buy red peppers, if they don't have these, which would be unusual, then just use red peppers, roasted red peppers. But these are quite sweet, so they're very nice for a paella. So there we go, they're all ready. I'll turn that down. I want it bubbling, but I don't want it boiling too much, because I'm on this portable unit also. It sort of goes up and down. I think what I'll do is just see if I can change the setting. Here we go. So you can see with the bubbling, it's sort of already pushing some of that rice to the top. So we'll let this sort of go for, 5 or 6 minutes. And you'll see that the stock will start to absorb, the rice will start to absorb that stock. And then we'll be able to add our seafood. So all up from woe to go, it probably takes about 25 minutes for a paella. So it's quite, quite a quick meal once you've prepared your seafood. And you could prepare your seafood sort of early in the morning and cover it and pop it back in the fridge so that you're ready to go for your dinner. You could also do the base, the onion and the tomato base, cook all that ready so that you're up to the stage where you want to add the rice, and then you could just let the pan cool down or take it out and put the contents in a dish in the fridge, and then when you come to cook your dinner, you've done your tomato base, you're just going to bring it back up to heat, and then you can add your rice and go from there. But it is quite a nice, easy dish to prepare. And you can also do this on the barbecue. And a lot of people have got burners to the side of their barbecue, so you could do it on there, or you could do it over the open flame. So if you feel the need, you can sort of just go in there and give it a good old pat, because you can actually get a good feel for it then. Now hopefully mine will cook relatively evenly, but because I've only got a burner sort of in the middle there, I just have to hope that it'll all work out. I normally cook mine on a gas stove, so it's a little different. I have 2/3 of a cup of frozen peas ready, and they'll sort of give us that beautiful vibrant colour with the paella peppers. So these two gorgeous things, and the prawns and the crab and whatever else it is that you have will certainly make for a very attractive dish. What I've got here, and I've spoken about it on the other video, is the calamari. Now calamari, squid and cuttlefish all go through a tough tender stage when they're cooking. So you either cook it very, very quickly, or you cook it for an hour to 2 hours. So if you were cooking octopus, for instance, to get it really beautiful, the legs really beautiful and tender, you would cook that for a minimum of an hour so that it goes through that tough tender stage. And it's the same with this. So what we're going to do is, towards the end of the cooking, we're just going to lay some on the top, and as soon as it's white, it's cooked. So it's very nice to eat as long as you've cleaned it properly. You can also buy those white squid hoods that are frozen. They're a little tough because they've been frozen. And I would certainly split them open and see if you can get all the membrane off inside, because that will make them more tender. All right, this is looking like it's starting to absorb our stock now. So what I'll do is I'll let this go for another 5 minutes, because it does take, a good 10 minutes. I'm going to pause the video and come back when it's cooked, and you can see where it's absorbed more liquid. So just hold on there. Hopefully I'm pressing pause. Right, I'm back, and I'm just going to explain what's happened here. So you can see that nearly all of that initial stock has been absorbed by the rice, but the rice is still not quite cooked. So this has been going now for about 20 minutes. So it depends on what heat you have. I'll bring that up closer. So you can see it's still white in the middle, but we haven't finished cooking yet. So what we're going to do now is add the remainder of the stock, and making sure that we get all of those lovely saffron strands. Now ideally your stock would be hot, so I might just have to put my heat up a little bit to get this hot. Maybe don't, just hold a little bit back just in case. And now what we can do is start adding our seafood. So basically the rice part should take about 25 minutes. and then you'll add your seafood, which will be another 5 to 8 minutes. So by 35 minutes, you should be up there and cooked. So with the crab that we prepared earlier, we're going to dig that down into our rice, and we can just make that attractive around the pan, just so that it's easy for everybody to get a little piece. All right, and then just scatter on your pippies or your mussels, pointy end down, and you can see already it's starting to look quite full. We can add our peppers, and our peppers you can just scatter around in a nice pattern, and obviously these are cooked, so they're just flavouring the rice. And then I've cut up the prawns that we peeled, and I'll push those down into the stock. I'm splashing myself. That's why it's easier to wear gloves as well. You can really push this down. If you're not using gloves, obviously make sure that you've got clean hands. All right, then I will add our whole prawns, pushing them down into the rice as best we can. Oops. Pop that in. And lastly, well, we've got the squid to go, but we'll put that on right at the very last minute. So the peas, you can scatter the peas around, and you can see already now it's looking a really attractive dish. If you don't like peas, then don't add them. I'm using baby peas because that's what I prefer. All right, so that's looking very, very nice. We may not need that last little bit of stock because it's still got quite a bit there. What I'm going to do now is put the cover on so that that steam helps it finish cooking, and then I'll add the squid for the last 2 minutes of cooking. Let me just find a lid. This happens to be a lid for my wok, but it fits okay over the top there. So I'm going to let that cook like that for 5 minutes, and I'll come back to you. So I'm actually setting my timer for 5 minutes, and I'll come straight back. Right, we're back. The 5 minutes is up. Now it's dripped a little bit because the lid is bigger than the pan. So I'm going to drain that off, and we'll check that everything is looking pretty good. The prawns are almost there, you can see, are nice and pink. Our crab is becoming nice and orange, but I might just turn that over just to give it a little bit of extra heat, only because I've got a small plate here on this hot plate. But everything else is looking pretty beautiful. There we go, get that thickest part in there. Now, at this stage, it's a good idea to actually taste. So check your rice in the middle. So you've still got a little bit to go. Now, you will have a crust on the bottom, that's what you want. You see, this rice in the middle is looking pretty cooked. So have a little taste for salt and the remainder. Also, what I'll do is just check around the sides there, because some of the rice around the sides here, purely because of my burner, is not quite there. It's a little bit chewy. So I might have to give that another 5 minutes. So what I'm going to do is to pick up the the calamari, and I'm going to scatter that around the dish just on top, and this will steam very gently. And I can see that the way this induction cooker is cooking, that I actually have some crab over here, and you can see that it's not orange yet. We want it to be orange, so I'm actually going to put the lid back on for 5 minutes. Another 5 minutes. So it doesn't normally take that long, but because of what I'm using for cooking, so I'll just set that for another 5 minutes. And then we should be good to go. Now, at the end of 5 minutes, hopefully all the rice is cooked. The seafood will definitely be cooked because it really doesn't take that long. And then what we'll do is we'll remove it from the heat, but keep it covered and let it stand for 5 minutes whilst we get our lemons ready for serving. So I'll make sure that we're all clean and ready to go. And it's as simple as that, you know, one pot dish, which is nice and easy. And if you were just doing all pippies or mussels or just prawns, you know, not a lot of preparation beforehand, especially if you don't have to make your own stock. Now, some people use fish stock, but I think it gives it a sort of acrid taste. I prefer to use chicken stock, and we generally use chicken stock a lot with fish, because if you haven't made the fish stock yourself, it can be way overpowering. And when you're making a fish stock, you really just want things like snapper bones and the like, and make sure that none of the bones have any blood on them. They need to be well washed before you make that stock. But I think chicken stock for this is the best. Now, obviously, if you've used chicken thigh fillets and you've done it in strips, you would add it when I added the seafood. We would brown it first, like we did with the chorizo, and then you would add it in the strips. And because you'd only cut it into sort of 1 centimetre strips, it will cook quite quickly, and certainly in the 15 to 25 minutes that it's all up. So this has got just about 3 minutes to go. And then by that stage, we'll be able to